It suddenly got quiet. It was like the general murmur going on, and then all of a sudden it was when we shared the psychedelic screen. You feel like you could just fall into it, huh? That way, so if you're up here talking, you should like hold one of these like a microphone, because it's a microphone. So if you got two people that are going to talk, they should each hold one. What else we got? It's time to start. Where's group one? Group one, did you have a thing? Yes. Group one. You have a thing. All right. What's the button? Can make it full screen. Yeah. Full screen. There we go. All right, that'll work. This one has less battery than this one. This one might die during the day. I don't know why, because they were all plugged in the same amount of time.
I'll use this one since I speak first. Then.
All right.
Just go like this.
Yeah, just hold it where
Do you have to press a button?
No, just hold it.
Oh.
They're both live. Before they get too far into this, think about, so pay attention to all the presentations, and I'm going to have everybody give feedback to each presentation afterwards. So take notes. The feedback is going to be, I think it's a good idea, I think it's a bad idea, and why. And what's one question you have for the group? What's one constructive criticism you have for the group? So what's some advice you would give them? What would you want to ask them? And yeah, do you think it's a good idea or not? All right, so go ahead, go.
So we will be doing a product that is a niche of mechanical keyboards. Mechanical keyboards are a very growing market. This is the trend graph for the United States, but it has been popular in Asia for, I would say, about 10 years so far. But it's recently just introduced in the United States, and it's projected to have a compound annual growth rate of 13.53% within the next 7 years. So it has our product has a wide age range due to its simplicity and how complex it can be. And competition has been increasing due to the recent popularity. Our factory will be most likely in Massachusetts, the Middlesex County. The output of manufacturing was $54.59 billion in 2019, and we picked Middlesex County, which is near Boston, because shipping would be easy, and there's a lot of tech companies in Boston, and we would sort of aim for around 10,000 square feet for our factory.
So what we're actually going to be making is just a little fidget cube, kind of like a fidget spinner, but more like a mechanical keyboard. So it's got three general parts. It's got that blue base section, which connects all the pieces. It's got the actual key presses themselves, which is the orange piece. And then it's got the keycaps. And you just order one of these and you can select what kind of keycap you want. If you want it to be super bouncy, more firm, whatever. And you can select what color of keycap. There are people who are making this on Etsy, and just in the last year, they made about 20,000 of these. I believe that we can make these for less than half the price. Actually, we can undercut them by 40% and have a 20% profit margin. Well, at the same time, making 100,000 of them a year. We could 3D print that little base blue section, but because we'd be making so many of them, it's not conducive to 3D printing. So we'd be getting a plastic mold injection system, which costs about $20,000. And we'd be getting a pretty simple robotic arm, only about $30,000, to help with some of the assembly. In total, each item, after we go through a 1-year lease, all that tooling, and 3 salaried employees, we'll be able to make each one for about $4 or $5. Any questions?
What kinds of mechanical switches do you use? Like brown, blue,
Any kind you want.
so the customer will be able to select what kind they want.
Yep. Any other questions, comments?
Perfect. We're right on time. Group 2. Group 2, you didn't have anything?
No.
Okay.
We're winging it.
Perfect.
We're
Winging it.
we're going off the cuff here. The elevator pitch, not a boardroom presentation.
Yeah, well, I think people will be able to figure out what I'm talking about. So.
You're winging it.
Yep. Yeah. I'm just talking about. Yep. I'm just talking about live. Yeah. Don't forget to grab your. All right. Yeah, I think you just hold it right. Yeah. All right. So our product is something that I've kind of seen a couple times, but I've never really seen it mass produced. So basically, it's kind of like a fidget toy / STEM toy / just like desktop ornament type thing. So what we're gonna go for is it's basically just a nut and bolt, except instead of just having regular threads, we're gonna have a maze path etched into the bolt, so that as you rotate the nut on, you're basically solving a maze. And the whole idea behind this is that it's kind of a really hard thing to make like mass produced. Or if you make it one off, it's really hard to do, because to make this kind of part properly, you need to kind of mold it. Because if you think about machining something that's circular, you'd either have to turn it over and over again, or you'd have to kind of machine it from around it and then pack in. So basically, we're going to come up with some sort of metal casting for that. The nut we're probably going to have just regularly machined, because that's pretty easy, hard to make comparatively. And then we're probably going to have an anodizing for color options. And then we're going to ship it to the customer. And we're probably going to have a couple different size options, so that if you don't want like a 5-pound hunk of aluminum, you're not getting one of those. And then I think we also have a location.
Yeah, so for location, we decided to go with Portland. It's on the West Coast, which has easier access to raw materials or the metal we would need normally. It'd be easier to ship stuff over there. And then it's very close to Seattle, which has a very large port. And we also were thinking we'd go on the cheaper side of West Coast cities. It's a little more affordable to set up there. And hopefully we can get our business set up there.
Questions?
Yeah, any
Any
questions?
questions for us?
Would you make like variable mazes, so it's not the same thing every time?
That could be something interesting to think about. I think what we could do is we could have multiple nuts with so that you could have one path, but then multiple ways to solve it by having like different indentations on the inside of the nut. But I think having like an actual different path machined in would be pretty tricky. Anyone else? Yes.
So you thought about how you're going to machine the maze?
So yeah, I kind of talked about that. So because it's like a circular thing, I think what we'd want to do is probably metal cast it and then do like a sandblasting for a finish. Because if you wanted to machine it, you'd have to either like rotate it over and over or come from like the outside vertically.
Anyone else? All right. Group 3. Oh, and so when you're getting comfortable up here and you decide to cross your arms, I don't recommend like putting the mic in your armpit. I'll go through it again.
Okay.
But so what is it? What is it I want you to take notes on? So what's some advice you would give the group? What's a question you would have of the group? And do you think it's a good idea or not? Is that what I said? Good. That's what I thought I said. Group 3. Go. Oh, yesterday's lecture had a copyright claim against it. At minute 45 and 43 seconds to 46 and 50 seconds. And it was me talking and writing on the whiteboard. They fixed it.
Can we get the shared?
Isn't that it? Oh, yeah, sorry. No problem. Exit solo. That should work. Weird. It's not changing anything.
Be a different layout, right? For one of these. There we go.
But all those should do it. Beautiful. You go ahead.
Great. Hi, guys. We're Group 3, and our company is Cubes. It's a scroll. It's a scroll. All right. So at Cubes, our goal is to bring STEM toys to a wide demographic, but especially kids and children toys. So we are delivering a premium American-made toy that belongs in, your child's playroom and/or on a desk, like out and about. You'll see what we get after.
So, what are cubes specifically? So, today in our company, we're combining the idea of an easy-to-use kids toy that everyone's probably used, small wooden blocks with letters on them, with the periodic table. And so we kind of put the periodic table on the elements on the cubes. So even if your child's too young to understand it, they can still play with the cubes, stack them up, look at them, get familiar with them. And then as they get older, they kind of become accustomed to them and then use them to, look at the periodic elements and get used to kind of getting into STEM and stuff like that.
So we'll be based out of Cobb County, Georgia, which is just northwest of Atlanta, Georgia. Obviously, it's very advantageous to be just outside of a large city. Resources, distribution centers, railways, and the like. And then in addition, Georgia has a strong timber industry. We expect we'll make these out of wood. So that's a good resource to have around. Also, Georgia is a pretty big leader in manufacturing in the United States. There are right to work state, so they have very low union rates and very high like machinist rates, or not rates, but workforce as well. They have very good tax exemptions, especially for small businesses. And we do have the Georgia Trade School nearby as well. So we got ourselves a feeder pipeline.
Yep. And so just a little basic, the process, get the wood, cut the wood, paint the wood, engrave the wood, package it, ship it. We're going to use mills, just saws, wood saws, automated saws, and we're going to cut it up, get the saws, and ship it up to the customer. Any questions? Yeah, so we are planning on having it be automated eventually, so that it would be a little faster to make and more efficient. Yeah.
That's a good question. I'd say we're going to have to look into that.
For the process, obviously, are you sure that the PV will not like start a fire? Like, have you looked into things like that?
We're definitely going to have to.
Like, after?
We're going to have to make sure that doesn't happen. So maybe we'll paint after or get paint right into that. I have not looked in depth into that.
Are you going to make all elements in one piece or a set from various table?
Yeah, so we were thinking of, making a general set. Like one thing we're actually thinking was making the main elements on the table, like the main set, and adding the one from the bottom as like a DLC or just like some extra.
You might have to make a lot of hydrocarbon elements. You might need a lot of hydrogen and carbon.
Sure.
So wooden blocks, they have something on like each side of the block, 6 faces. Are you just going to have the periodic table on one face and then the other blank? Or do you not, have you not thought about that yet?
Yeah, so we're gonna make one element is gonna be on each face of the cube. So then it'd be like 13 cubes is gonna be the main set of elements or something, because there's 130 something. Sorry, exact number.
That's good marketing. Collect all the elements.
I would make some annotation on different size, some text about that element, because for the chat it doesn't matter what mean actually about the element.
Good stuff.
Good
We'll
ideas.
take that down.
All right. This seems to be the most popular one so far. Hey, so I got some more public speaking advice while team, what's next? 4?
4.
Team 4 gets up here. Also, no.
Put the microphones behind your back while you're talking.
But hey, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, any advice. It could be you should part your hair on the other side. I get that one all the time.
It's like being at karaoke. It's all like you're at karaoke.
They actually make a handle for these. It feels like a microphone, but all the stuff is that's the microphone part.
It's good marketing.
Is this your thing? Thinking about being
Could be. We just programmed a loading bar for our presentation.
Yeah, it's just gonna be back to one of them.
All right.
It's effective.
Hello, we are group 4.
All right. So continuing in the cube-based product thread, we are going to be making fidget cubes. And what makes ours different is that they have modular gears that are going to attach to each face of the cube and then interlock with each other. They're going to be attached with magnetic fastenings and spin very smoothly. And they're going to be modular and customizable, so the customer will be able to choose what kind of gears they want and how many, and colors, finishes, all that kind of thing.
So for the where, we were thinking of doing somewhere in Colorado, potentially outside of the Denver area. We're trying to target customers within the U.S. domestically, and that would be a very central location with easy domestic shipping and proximity to existing machining industry. And so because it's a new business and we don't know how well it's going to perform just yet, we would want to get more of a short-term lease or just a lease in general to then see if it would be a long-term investment that we would want to make.
And as for how we are going to make these, we're going to be machining pretty much everything, or with CNC mills, just out of aluminum. Going to put an emphasis on high precision and like fit and finish, because this is also intended to be kind of a desk ornament type thing. We'll also be anodizing the aluminum in-house, and that'll be something customer can pick in terms of color. For the magnets, we'll just be outsourcing those because we don't want to machine magnets and we can just buy them. And we'll probably also be doing some engraving on the gears, laser engraving, and maybe with some enamel paint in them for an extra professional finish. But yeah.
Any questions?
So like say you're going somewhere to like Monday, can I ask you why should they invest in you? Like how's it different from the one you saw today?
So ours is going to have, like with the gears, you'll be able to kind of change which magnets and which gears are on each side. And it's sort of like a build your own is where ours is kind of different. Even with like the periodic table cubes, there wasn't that sort of element that you could change on the end in the aftermarket, I guess.
So when you like purchase this boy, like is it come with a little pack that you get like some of the different kinds of gears like change out, or you'll get like the one set?
I was thinking there could be, kind of a starter kit that has the cube and then enough gears to cover all the faces that would fit together. But you could also build your own, like from scratch, where you pick out base cube and then every gear and all the finishes and stuff like that. And then plus there would be aftermarket support.
Yeah, so are you gonna go for like the gears themselves are a magnetic material, or are you gonna put magnets on the gears to make them hold on?
They're going to be in the gears. So the gears will be aluminum, and then there'll be a
Like
magnet.
insert?
Yeah, it'll be.
It's a fixture, it's a fastening, it's not in the magnet gear itself.
One last question, then we gotta move to the next group.
You were gonna focus on making things very precise, but usually increases the cost with your material and your product. So I'm just curious how you're going to stay competitive in a market where a lot of things cost a lot less than what you are producing, especially because there are some more things already out there.
We'd definitely be marketing it as a higher end, professional looking, like desk ornament. Like we'd be marketing it as a like nice, like.
Well, and it's also in the early stages of development, so we'll have to look more into how the actual machining will go and how precise we need to have it to make it be as nice as we want it.
Perfect. Group 5. Group 5 is the other one with nothing
Yeah, we
uploaded, right?
We don't have anything. These the mics.
Those are the microphone ones. Go ahead and get started.
Okay, so we're basically producing these metal rings that you can link together that's a stem toy as well. Basically, it comes in different shapes and sizes, and we're basically mass producing them with different machines. So each of these toys usually come with two rings that are like the same shape. So we'd be having one machine for each different two brains. So
Our plant would be located in Charleston, South Carolina. It's a city with a big population. South Carolina doesn't have high manufacturing taxes, and it's a port city, so it'd be easy to transport goods overseas. That's about it. Any questions?
What is your product?
They're interlocking rings, and it's a brain teaser that they're the same thing, but they're stuck together, and it's a puzzle to get it like them undone. And it's also a puzzle to put them back together. So it just keeps your brain occupied if you're bored.
You said they'd be in different shapes. How many different shapes were you initially planning?
We're thinking 5 different designs, just to have a variety.
Do you plan on making them as just a brain teaser or as like something you could wear as a ring and take off?
Just a brain teaser, just because the different shapes and sizes won't all fit on like a finger. Any other questions? Oh,
Yeah, what are you making them from, and like how are you planning on going about that?
we're going to use CNC machining from aluminum stock to make them. And the way that the program will be set up, we'll make like each machine will make one of the different designs, but in the stock, it could make 5 or 6 parts of that to then be multiple kits.
So I've seen these machines that extrude a metal wire, and they have different parts.
Yeah, to click it together.
And so like the wire come out straight, and then it bends the wire. You take little springs out of it. So that's what I was envisioning that these things would be made of.
Yeah, it's a possibility. The product's still in early design, so we haven't finalized any plan.
All right, perfect. Group 6.
Click on the comments.
Although it is a cool picture.
Go to. Perfect.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Can you all hear me?
Oh yeah.
Wonderful. We don't have a cool name yet. We're working on it.
No, we do.
We do?
Our cool name is Project Projectile.
Our cool name is Project Projectile.
Yes.
Now listen to this. You're a child. You just want to learn about projectile motion. But you know, school's really boring. So what do? How about you build your own projectile launcher and learn about projectile motion? Or picture this. You're in the office and, you know, one of those classic office wars break out. What are you going to do? How about a marble launcher to completely blow away your competition? So, we would like to make a STEM kit. You may have heard of them, KiwiCo. What's the other one that Mark Rober is doing? Crash Kit or something like that. We want to do something similar. Laser printed parts, marble, steel bearings, some kind of bearings, and you know, you build it yourself, because what's more rewarding in engineering than building something?
Now, I should mention, so the marble launcher will be good enough to be used in the classroom if that's what schools decide, because right now the marble launchers for the classrooms cost $85, which is kind of a lot for some teachers. So it would be something that we could do both in the classroom and for fun.
Every kit would include a free lesson in projectile motion that would be suitable for any age at which projectile motion would be an appropriate lesson.
And we just took a look at some of the things that were drawbacks from projectile marble launchers for the classroom, and we just tried to make it better. They were a little heavy, so we tried to make it lighter with laser cut wood and acrylic barrel for the marble. So it'd be nice and light, nice and cheap, but still has the same launch capacity.
We're planning to do our, here's how it's manufactured with laser cut wood. We are planning on making our project projectile building in Texas because it's easy to get land there and it's the perfect place for an engineering startup.
And there's an abandoned Denny's with a negotiable price in this town.
At least I made it into the presentation.
Any questions? Yeah.
What is the age range?
So the
Could-
age range would be about high schoolers, but if you're an adult who again has a war to win in their office, you might also be interested in this.
Not sure.
We'll have to look.
Any more questions? I think if I had an engineering startup, I would want the Denny's to be fully functional. That's great. Thanks a lot. Group 7. So talking to the talkie end. It's okay if all of you present.
Exactly.
Okay.
Get the microphone.
Which one should we like press for the to change the
Scroll on the
spots?
laptop.
This one.
Awesome.
Okay, so this is a sustainable Sudoku Rubik's Cube, and we looked at Sudoku puzzles and Rubik's cubes, and they both kind of have a similar objective, and that's to solve a challenge. And left brain people love a challenge, so we wanted to make it even harder. And I made a little like kind of prototype for it. So basically you just have to get 1 through 16 on every face of the cube, 1 through 16 every like column on each side, and then 1 through 16 on every row. So it's really hard, but then if you solve it, you can just mess it up again like a regular Rubik's cube.
So we looked at a lot of different options and realized that a lot of like Rubik's cubes and other puzzle toys are made really insustainably. They're either made of ABS or nylon composites, which either aren't recyclable or don't biodegrade at all. So we decided to go with PLA as an option, just because PLA conventionally isn't recyclable, and we figured we could put it to use, and also because PLA is easy to work with from a manufacturing standpoint.
Yeah, so we were looking at statistics and we realized that about 5,000 tons of plastic waste come from 3D printing every year. The statistic was specifically from 2020, but every year that's the waste, and we felt like we could capitalize on that. So our plan is actually to go to manufacturers who use PLA for prototyping and to try to get their waste to recycle for our product. That would basically create free stock, free things to use, and also PLA is naturally biodegradable eventually, so it would be very sustainable.
And as for locale, we decided to select Worcester because, well, as you may know, Worcester is a hub of both sustainability and manufacturing, and also happens to be home to quite a few colleges, which all have maker spaces that we could go to in order to get their plastic waste, because as you know, 3D printing does produce a lot of plastic waste. So, yeah. All right.
And in terms of manufacturing, we'd be following kind of the standard method for manufacturing Rubik's cubes, which is generally injection molding, using recycled PLA, as mentioned before. And then all of those components would get added together in some kind of automated assembly. That's our presentation. Are there any questions?
Yeah, so I'm not like an expert in any means with Rubik's cubes, but I'm pretty sure that when you solve it, there can only be one possible orientation, like of the solved cube. So I don't know if the Sudoku aspect would really work, because I think when you solve it, each color square is in a specific place, and there's no way to get it in like a different place.
I think it would work. I mean, I
always just took the stickers off and moved them around.
Yeah.
There's no like, colors.
There's no colors.
There's no colors or anything. Like, it's just the numbers.
Oh.
Yeah. So like
Wow, okay,
instead of
I
like
see, I
getting it
understand
on instead of getting a color on every side, it's like
You have to match those columns.
That's
Yeah.
it's like
really
one
hard to
on
solve.
every face. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
I
solid base product that's actually very recently, and but instead of using numbers, it actually uses color, but color represents number basically, so one color, purple paint. So it would work because it's numbers, but at the same time, you guys think you're gonna take purchase or you're gonna do the same cube, or maybe try to change some of the community, like bring shape, pretty
Yeah,
I mean-
so like this would be our first product, but we're definitely going to branch out and get into things eventually. This is just something to figure out. Yeah.
Have you considered talking to the cube club here? Yeah. I mean, it'd be very interesting.
Maybe.
Do you think the injection molding would be done at the college businesses? Would it be kind of like
That'd be our vision.
We would just get the waste from colleges and the waste.
You can collect the waste after projects are done too, because they print all these things for their projects and then they just sit on a shelf somewhere. You can collect that. Any other questions? All right, group 8 next.
You had a model. I didn't see the model.
Yeah.
Hello, we're Group 8, and we are planning to make an all-American STEM toy.
Use the
Arrows?
pad on the-
Oh, sorry. Okay. So clearly, as you can see on YouTube, demand for STEM products are exploding. There is a massive online YouTube engineering community with billions of views where people use very complex machine tools to build all sorts of gadgets and contraptions. Here we have Mark Robert, stuff made here. They're doing CNC machining. We also have Integza, who does more, he's a little bit more frugal. And we also have here Adam Savage. He's building a KiwiCo test kit. So a lot of these YouTubers also advertise STEM products and STEM toys. And we think that we can capitalize on that to market our mini cannon. So the mini cannon will consist of a turned barrel and a milled base. We'll include the screws in the kit, and the assembly will be very, very easy. We're planning to manufacture these in Houston, Texas. We found a lot near Houston for 1.3 million. It's a bit pricey, but for that all-American factor, there's nothing more American than a cannon made in Houston, Texas. We think that this is going to be a great gift, a great decoration for your home, and a great 4th of July party item. We want this to be functional, hefty, built tough, and safe. Any questions? For kids? We don't think so. We definitely believe that this would be something to be used with adult supervision.
Like the Estes rockets.
Yeah. It's very, very low because its effectiveness as a weapon to be threatening, it's a tiny cannon. It's going to be like 4 to 6 inches. You only got one shot, you know?
So you said this is going to be around like 4th of July party. Sometimes there's alcohol. Is it drunk?
Well, that's a good question. Could a drunk person load and operate the cannon in the first place? I don't.
So in my experience, the answer to that question is yes.
What's so STEM toy for drunk adults that want to shoot people that have marbles to shoot back with, right? Yeah. Yeah. How are you gonna fire it? Gunpowder?
So we're not going to include the gunpowder in the kit.
It's not included.
It cannot be sold necessarily everywhere.
So that in that case, it's a non-functional replica right up until you put the gunpowder in it.
That's on you.
Did-
Doesn't this go against like cross-state lines?
As long as you don't have the gunpowder.
Yeah, and it doesn't take cartridges.
I'm not an expert.
Not a firearm.
Next group. Was that the second or third one that was located in Texas?
Oh, we better get a fourth.
That was the second so far, I think.
All right, so this is the next one. So scroll the laptop.
Hello. We are ME1800 Project Group 9.
Yeah. All right. Making hearing aids. You're like, why hearing aids? Those exist. Oh, still here. All right. World Health Organization says by 2050, 1 in 10 people will need hearing aids. Staggering. And you might think, well, custom hearing. Oh, we'll be making custom hearing aids that fit your ear. You might think that's a thing. It's not really. If you look up now, custom hearing aids, it's more of like you get different options. Like, I don't know, you want it to be a little louder, you want it to be a different color. It's about all you get. But the technology to make a custom fit hearing aid is already ready available at like an ear doctor. I forget what they're called. I think it's on the previous slide. Well, it's not. But like an earpiece, like an earplug that you use for like trap shooting or something, they make that. You put a mold in your ear, comes out, and you can make a casting. Pretty straightforward.
For our location, we chose Houston, Texas. Again, a popular choice. Reason being that the corporate tax rate in Texas is low to non-existent, and the floor space is cheap. So we found a warehouse here with up to 2,000 square feet. We can rent it in increments of 2,000. We only need about 4,000 at first, and it's for just a little over $1 per square foot per year lease or rent. For our machines and assembly, we'd be making 2 parts of hearing aid and get electronics separately. There'd be one piece made out of silicon rubber that we would cast using a mold, and a second piece which also be cast using a mold, but the molding machined out of a different plastic, as it is part is acrylic instead of silicon. And then we'd assemble the hearing aids and ship them to the customer. As we are only making molds, we only need a few milling machines. Once we make the molds, it's very simple to cast more and more parts. So that's all. Yes.
Are you planning on making the hearing aids that like are non-prescription for the patient, or the kind that are more go to the doctor's office?
Non-prescription. Part of our plan is to be able to like make casts of people's ears in house, and then have a hearing aid make it fit. Yes, you.
Are you going to sell like molding kits and ship to the person and have them send back to you, like they do with like retainers and stuff sometimes? Or are you planning on making everyone travel to your one location in Texas?
I think maybe I missed it earlier, but most ear doctors actually have the technology, or not. It's not like advanced technology, but can make that mold.
The problem with that is you just said you're not prescription, so therefore most people are not going to go to a ear doctor. They're just going to say, I need a hearing aid, and now you're saying, come travel to me in Texas.
Well, then we can do an at-home kit, but also most hearing aids in general aren't covered by your insurance, so you can still go to a doctor and ask. We
were planning to also have a scanner, like
one of the ones you can use lasers or whatever, so it could non-invasively get a mold of someone's ear at our facility. Although, yeah, shipping a kit would also be feasible. Anyone else? Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Not. There's two parts of the hearing aid. One that fits in your ear, and then one that's like houses the electronics. They both have to be molded, just like according to how the acrylic tube like that fits in your ear works. But one of them we can make a lot more parts more easily than the other one that we have. Some parts we have to make a lot of, some parts we don't.
That was the first non-STEM toy.
Is this the talking end? So?
Yeah. Yeah, the one that looks like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was the con. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
So, hello, we're Group 10, and currently we don't have a creative name, but we want to make a rolly stem toy. So it's just going to be a toy out of metal that will roll across your desk. And our plan right now is to make it out of steel, so it'll be easier and it'll be nice having something with a nice solid weight that you can roll across your desk. So on the left is the shape that we're going to try to make, because currently there's no one that sells one out of metal, versus on the right called a hexasphericon. I believe I said that right. And there's a company right now that makes it, and they're selling the steel version for right around $60. So that would be about our target price for each of these. And our plan is to make them using a 5-axis CNC mill with soft jaws, and it will be in 2 operations.
So for our location, we're also thinking Texas because it's a beautiful, amazing state. There's no corporate income tax. We're thinking Waco specifically because it's sandwiched in between Dallas, Austin, and it's pretty close to Houston, which is really easy to access with ports. We've found a decent location already with about 6,000 square feet, roughly about $700,000 to buy out right now. With some agreements that we would have to work out. But the location itself, the surrounding area of Waco, 7 minutes away is a local tech school that we could easily pick up interns that might want to work for us for a summer or something like that. It's a 20-minute drive from the airport. There's plenty of hotels and food. And I don't know, Professor, if you're into like country style food, but there's a Cracker Barrel right around the corner. So if you're really into that. But so far, everything kind of lines up for this location. And we're thinking that the material wouldn't be a problem with all the shipping and things I said before.
Also, any questions?
Will you be producing both of them or just the Oloid?
So right now we're thinking about just producing the Oloid, but once we are able to kind of work out the kinks in the manufacturing system, we could be able to produce the hexasphericon at maybe a lower rate than the competitors. So currently right now, the one on the right that's being produced sells at $60 for the steel. So
how much would you buy that?
Probably not that. So that's why we're not starting with that one. We're kind of want to go into an emerging market that no one's touched quite yet.
There's actually a pretty big market for
fidget toys for rich adults.
If you make it look shiny and nice, people will buy it. Yes.
Yeah, speaking of shiny, do you think you're gonna go like stainless steel, or are you gonna like galvanize it or something?
We haven't looked into that process yet, but we will probably end up doing a galvanized. We could do different color options, stuff like that.
All right, group 11. In group 11, you guys can go first next time. No. You're going now, but you're gonna go first next time, so you're not like at the end having to rush. You were really quick to sit back down.
Well, I wasn't all that far up anyway, so.
All right.
All right.
Use your microphones.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. We are Group 11. We are making a lock guide.
Is it on this? How do you scroll?
Just roll the laptop.
Oh.
Got you. All right. Need for the product. So it's basically just a device that's going to help you guide your key into a lock. If you've ever been to a locking door and you're trying to put your key in, you're fiddling with it, and it's a pain. So it should help you. Who does it help? Anybody who struggles with this, or anybody with hand-eye coordination, dexterity impairments, or any other impairments. Why is our product awesome? It's brightly colored, simple, it's amazing. All right. Why will you feel good after sponsoring us, guys? Well, how many lock guides do you know of?
Seriously, try
Aren't
Google
many.
searching it. Nothing pops up.
It's very unique, patentable design.
As to that design, currently we have two prototypes for our design. The first one is a very simple two-part system that just lines up your key with the lock and lets it slide right in. And the second one is a bit of a larger assembly that might be, easier to grab and hold on to. For all of these, all we need to make them is an injection molding machine and a couple of different molds that we can swap out depending upon which part we are making at which time. Labor-wise, we really only need a little bit of labor for setup and a handful of people to handle running and packaging. And then for our materials, we just need magnets, plastic, and adhesive, and then stuff to ship it out to the customer.
All right, where are we located? We are in Warren County, Mississippi. Why this location? Because it's near the transportation routes, it's close to our target demographic, and there's cheap land and labor.
And then just a couple quick things on the numbers. So the molds for our keys would cost around $500 to make because they are not very complicated. Magnets for the other design would be about 10 cents per magnet for the micro magnets, and the injection molding machine would be around $50,000. If we price them at around $15 a model, then we'd only need to sell 3,190. So 1,000 models need $90 in profit.
All right. I don't think we really have time for more questions, so.
You guys got a couple questions, go fast.
Mississippi and really all of the South has a pretty rapidly aging population, with the exception of like Atlanta and some of the larger cities. So there's going to be a lot of demand for, things that help with impairments. Yeah.
And people coming home from 4th of July parties.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely drunk.